G'day everybody, 4:04 p.m. here in Tasmania. Mentioning another comment, this one's from Rebecca. In the 7th year, a crown is given during Tivet. Esther 2:16. So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into the house royal in the 10th month, which is the month Tivet, it's all pronounced Tivet, in the 7th year of his reign. Okay, let's have a look at that. Some information. Here are the Jewish months. In case you're not familiar with, can we get it to go to a better size? In case you're not familiar with them, we have Tivet down there. The Babylonian name is where this Tivet comes from, I would imagine. But we're calling it Tivet at the moment. Same month that Rebecca mentioned in her comment anyway. And you can see 2 months before that are Cheshvan and Kislev. Okay, so that's the 10th month, Tivet, which is where we're at, as we're in the month of Esther. What am I doing? Having a look at this. Interesting, the 10th month of the Jewish calendar, Tivet, occurs in winter time. In fact, the entire winter season is sometimes called, whatever that word is, Tivet in Jewish tradition, which means season of. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. No, not going near it. So point number 2, the 2 months preceding Tivet, Cheshvan and Kislev, can have either 29 or 30 days, depending on the year. From Tivet and onwards, things are simple. Tivet has 29 and Shavat has 30, establishing a pattern alternating months that continues for the rest of the year. Interesting. Seems to have something to do with the setting of patterns of days of 29 and 30. Hanukkah, or Chanukah, however you want to pronounce it, bleeds into Tivet. Begins on the 29th of Kislev and continues for 8 days. This means that the final few days of Hanukkah extend into Tivet, or otherwise a dreary month, and otherwise dreary and ordinary month. I'm not going to read through all of this. I'm just trying to summarise. You guys can have a look yourself. I like this one. We've talked about this. Point 4, Esther was taken into the palace. In the book of Esther, we read that Esther was taken into King Ahasuerus' palace. I'm butchering names. I'm terrible at them. Why can't they just be Kylie or Pete or Teresa or old mate or something easy, something Aussie? Anyway, in the 10th month, which is the month of Tivet, the Talmud explains that the month of Tivet was a particularly opportune time, since the cold causes the body to take pleasure from the body, brackets of another. Okay then. Okay, so they did a bit of snuggling up in Tivet, huh? Okay, the siege of Jerusalem began even before it got its name Tivet, when it was known simply as the 10th month. This was a significant time in Jewish history. You can read there. Okay, so that siege happened in Tivet before they called it Tivet. 10th day of the month is a fast day. The book of Zechariah tells us that 4 fast days will become days of joy and gladness and good festivals in the era of Moshiach. Okay, that's interesting. So fast days are going to be days of joy and gladness. On the 10th day of the month is a fast day, so we're looking at somewhere associated with the 10th day of Tivet. Okay, so we've got some Greek, selection of ancient Greek renderings of the book of Esther. Tradition tells us that the fast of 10 Tivet commemorates 2 other tragic events, one occurring on 8th of Tivet, by the look of it there, and one on 9th of Tivet. It has its references, etc., to books that you can look at. Imagine if you go to that site, to this site, those are probably hyperlinks. Agents were not dispatched from Jerusalem. Not dispatched from Jerusalem. Okay. Looks like in Temple Times, at the start of every Jewish month that contained a holiday, agents were dispatched from Jerusalem to notify the Jewish people in every community of when the month had begun, so they would know when to observe the holiday. But no runners were sent out at the start of Tivet, since the fast would one day be abolished. It was not considered binding at that time and did not warrant special notification. Well, isn't that interesting? When we come back here, where it says that the days will be, those fasts will one day become days of joy and gladness and good festivals in the Mashiach era, including the fast of the 10th, a reference to the 10th day of Tivet. And yet here we were talking about that they would, because it says, but no runners were sent out at the start of the vet, since the fast would one day be abolished. It was not considered binding at that time and did not warrant special notification. Would one day be abolished? When? Does that mean one day abolished because the rapture happens? Wowzers. I don't know. That could be something in that. I'm going to have to study that a lot more. And I ask everybody else to as well. Tivet is Babylonian. The name Tivet was adopted by the Jewish people during the Babylonian exile. It is believed to connote sinking or immersing. They're relating that to rainfalls in winter, but I tell you what, if the rapture happens now, there'll definitely be a sinking and immersing going on worldwide. Every Jewish month associated with a zodiac symbol. Tivet is the goat or Capricorn. And there we have an extra one, 11, which is significant to, I guess, the authors, etc. of this site. You can have a look for that yourself. I think there's a couple of interesting things there that we could perhaps glean about Tivet and where we are now. Anyway, I'm still not too sure where Cool Cat's getting his 7th Jan from. Is it this Esther stuff in Tivet? Is it something previous from Haggai? I'm not at all having a go at Cool Cat or anybody. Like, I've said my piece about what people were doing and yada yada. I'm done with that. So I'm not talking about that. But the reason I find it difficult to sometimes cross-reference some of Kelly's studies are the fact that a live that goes for 6 hours without any specific book notes or timestamps, it becomes almost impossible to find a bit of information if you've just been listening. Say, as you've been cooking tea or something, you hear something later on, you want to go back and refer to it. It's very difficult to find, a minute worth of specific sentence or information amongst a 6 hour plus long live. Hey man, you're doing a great job. That's a lot of work. I've got nothing bad to say about all those sorts of things. As I've said before, we just got to love each other, that's all. But recap videos, real brief ones, might help after those huge lives, because so much information is in those lives. It almost warrants condensing to some point so that people can glean the best out of it. I think sometimes you do that anyway, but good on you. Anyway, I don't know where we're at completely, but maybe somebody can glean something out of these little points that I've just managed to quickly research. Anyway, guys, God bless. Remember, Jesus works his alone, not ours.